What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a full review on the HiKeep MAL. I'm super excited for this review, and special shout out to HiKeep for sending me this bike. So let's open it up. Let's start by taking this thing out of the box and putting it together. When this bike got delivered, it was literally downpouring outside, so I hope the box isn't totally destroyed. Wow, I'm really impressed about the packaging. The first thing I noticed is definitely the seat. This looks like the front fender. Man, this thing's gonna look sick. It looks like this box is gonna have all of the small parts and extra features. So let's see what we get to go with the bike. First up, we got the pedals. It looks like we're going to be able to just screw them in pretty easily. Next, this looks like the manual, so you got your instructions and user info in here. Oh, this is cool. They give you a foot pump for the tires. We'll get into that later. Then, this here looks like our front headlight. So let's take it out of this wrapping. Wow, I have never seen anything like this design. It is super unique, and it looks like it's going to be bright. Okay, here we go. I love when they include a toolkit, so you don't have to go scavenging for the right size Allen key on your own. And this is what you get inside. We got 2 wrenches, 4 Allen keys, and a screwdriver. And lastly, I'm assuming this is the charger. Yep, perfect. Now that the bike is mostly unpacked, we can move on to the assembly. So the first thing the instructions want you to do is unscrew the mount above the forks by using one of the smaller Allen keys that they give you. After it's off, you want to screw it back down over the handlebars to hold them in place. Already, you can see the bike coming together after this first step, so I can already assume that this assembly is going to be very beginner friendly. Usually bikes like this ship in tiny pieces and it would take forever to assemble it, or you would end up doing it wrong. Once the handlebars look centered, go ahead and put the screws back in. And it might take some adjusting to make sure they're aligned. And the screen can just slide right up. To seal off this whole front part of the bike, tighten the joint above the forks back up. Once you do this, the bike should be totally capable of turning smoothly. Moving on to the front wheel, take that protective pad off and rest the forks on a scrap piece of foam packaging like this. Then when the axle is in the wheel, the fork should be able to just sit straight down on it. You might need 2 people to line it up correctly. Then you can just screw the nuts down to hold it in place. Make sure you have the washers, otherwise the bolt will destroy the metal. I am a little concerned about how the wheel is supposed to stay on when the bike pops up, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Next up on the assembly is going to be the headlight, which just sits on these supports sticking out. Once the light is rested, you can just screw both sides down with that yellow screwdriver they give you. Pretty handy. I am super excited for this light. It looks like it's going to be really bright, and the design looks so nice. And I'm pretty sure you can adjust how close on the road the light is shining. The way this gets its power is from a little connector cord that has a yellow end sticking out of the back of the light and the other end sticking out of the forks. It takes some time to connect them, but you really want to be sure you're being careful and line the arrows up, because if you try to force it, you can break the tiny pin connectors and ruin the electrical. The bike will not work without the light, so please be careful and be patient for this part. Let's see how bright this light actually is. Nice! Perfect. Next up, we gotta put on the pedals. They came in this little box with all the other supplies, which is kind of nice, and it seems like they can just twist straight into the pedal stems. They also have a left and right sticker, so you know which is which. Just match the red sticker with the red sticker on the frame and screw it in. It took me a little bit because it has to be perfectly straight. Then I just tightened it with the wrench that they give you in the toolkit, and I did the same for both sides. That's really all you have to do for the pedaling system, which is really nice. Which leads us to the front fender. Start by taking out the screw that holds the fender mount. Once it's out, feed it back through the fender holes and tighten it up. This screw should be really tight because you don't want to have this thing rattling when you're riding. Use the Allen key on one side to hold it and tighten it with the wrench on the other. And here's how it looks on the bike. The final part is to pump up the tires with this handy foot pump. The tires come pretty flat for shipping purposes, but this pump comes in clutch. It takes like no effort to pump up these tires and it works super fast. You might also want to give the back tire some air too because it got a little deflated in the mail. And after that, the bike is ready to ride. I can confidently say that the difficulty of the assembly is beginner. Everything is easy to assemble and pretty straightforward. Some of the stuff you don't really need the instructions, but just in case, I went back to make sure everything was correct. On the handlebars, you'll find 4 keys. One is for the battery lock and the other is for the ignition. It comes with a spare for each as well, which is nice, but make sure to keep them somewhere safe because I doubt you can find replacements online. The MAL is pretty sick looking overall. You got some crazy suspension in the back with 4 springs. Look like they can be adjustable as well. The frame is super unique and slick, and you even got some turn signals in the back. The screen is nice and big, which I'm super excited for, and there's tons of different settings to play with. And with that, I'm going to let this thing charge overnight for some riding tomorrow. It looks like the weather cleared up today, which is great because the bike is fully charged and I'm ready to ride. But before I went to bed last night, I found a problem. Yeah, the bike is barely going 20 miles an hour. I tried playing around with the bike settings and that did nothing. Then I looked at the label in the middle fork and it claims the bike tops off at 20. Which makes sense, but after doing some research, I checked HiKeep website, which says it can reach speeds up to 28 to 32 miles an hour. So I reached out to HiKeep and they showed me that there's a way to unlock a higher speed. It's super simple and it takes less than a minute. Step 1 is to pull the throttle fully backward, as if letting go of the acceleration, and hold it. Step 2 is to grip and hold down the left and right brakes at the same time. For step 3, you might need a second person because you want to keep holding down on all 3 of these things. Then, put the key in and power on the bike. Step 4, keep pulling everything down firmly and turn on the display. Step 5, once the display is on, make sure to maintain pressure for at least 20 seconds. Full 20 seconds. And once you let go, the display will go completely back to normal, and just like that, the bike can now reach 33 miles an hour. Let's go! Finally, the MAL is ready for the road. Everything is set up and assembled, and it's time for performance. The bike comes with a dual 750 watt motor putting out a 1500 watt peak. It has a 48 volt 15 amp hour lithium battery under the seat, which can push the bike to speeds past 30 miles an hour. HiKeep has invented this bike to tackle inclines as steep as 32 degrees. That's like riding straight up a Black Diamond ski trail. It has 160mm disc brakes, which provide instant stop. I absolutely love this part of the bike because you don't realize how important these reliable brakes are until you're actually riding. And with their new technology, they have a bright 3.6-inch LCD screen that crushes its competitors in size. The bike can surprisingly last up to 30 miles on full electric mode. That's without pedaling. If you pedal, you can increase the range to 60 miles. That's of course if you give the battery its full charge, which is about 6 to 8 hours. HiKeep is having a great sale discount right now, and if you want to buy the MIL for yourself, you can order it for only $700. That's the same price of your average scooter. Anyways, the thing I like the most on the bike is the seat. It's like memory foam and is made out of such a comfortable material. The black leather complements all of the other parts too. It's definitely one of those seats where you could sit on it for a really long time without getting too uncomfortable. Next up are the tires. Now these things are a great size. They're not too small, so the bike sits nice and high. They're a strong rubber and you kind of get a bouncy feel, which almost acts as more suspension. You also can't go wrong with the black rims. Sitting right above them, we got our light. With this lighthouse on the front, it can easily illuminate the road. It's even bright enough for the daytime, and the nicest thing about it is since it's hooked up to the battery, you never have to charge it. On the other end of the bike, we have our tail light. Impressively, on a $700 bike, we have turn signals, which are both left and right. It's cool how they made them yellow so it doesn't really blend in with the red background. And in the middle of the taillight, there's even a brake light. Just like a car, this will turn on any time the bike feels pressure on the brakes, letting cars know behind you that you're slowing down. When you want to ride at night and have a constant light in the back, it comes with the option to have a full surrounding red. And this can be turned on by the button that also turns on the headlight. And right below that button is where you can turn on the left and right turn signals. What helps the bike be so comfortable is the quad suspension underneath the seat. The MIL comes with 4 bulky springs, 2 on each side. If the bike were to hit a bump, the spring will compress and concentrate the shock towards them instead of you. Sitting in between them is our fender, which stops the mud from getting kicked up into our controller. And it has a twin front fender, which looks almost identical. Holding the weight of the bike is the kickstand. This little thing is impressive. I've never seen anything like this design before. It goes up and down so smoothly and it feels very natural. Slowing you down are the brakes. HiKeep has very good quality mechanical brakes. They are super reliable and have a 160mm disc that blends in with the bike's overall look. Up next are the pedals. I am a big fan of the design and they definitely belong on the frame. They rotate around a very small basic sprocket in the back which you pedal. It basically gives the motor an extra boost. Holding everything together is the frame, which gives HiKeep their signature look. It's super creative and gives the bike identity with these little holes on the front. They definitely did a good job keeping it lightweight and making sure it wasn't too bulky, given the fact that the bike only weighs 80 pounds, which is the lightest bike I've ever reviewed. The last cool thing is the controller placement. It sits right underneath the seat where you can barely see it. This was a very clever thing to do because not only does it protect the controller, but it hides it very well. If I didn't mention it, you probably wouldn't even know that it's there. Moving on to the handlebars. To turn on the bike, put the ignition key in the slot and twist. This will turn on the bike's electronics. In order for the throttle to work, hit the power button on the left. This will turn on the display. The throttle is on the right side here, and if you want to change the gear of pedals, there is a little nozzle which you can change on a scale of 1 to 7. The left brake controls the back wheel, and the right brake controls the front. This little red nozzle can control the level of suspension on the front forks. This little settings button will adjust the brightness of the display. The plus button turns up the pedal assist and maxes it out at 5. The minus button turns it down. And if you're wondering what this little eye is, it's to change what mode the display is showing. This will consist of things like how far you rode and what your average speed was. Pretty cool, right? And this is how immediate the traction works. So I was trying to wheelie to see if it was possible, and I don't recommend it. I popped up the bike and the front wheel came completely off. Good thing I always wear a helmet, so I'm okay and the bike is fine. It's just I did not realize that when I assembled it, I should have saw that the way the bike sits on the wheel is just by resting on it. The forks don't completely surround the axle, so if the bike were to go on one wheel, it's definitely possible for the bike to fall off. But it's fine because this bike is obviously not meant for wheelies, so just learn from my lesson of learning the hard way so you don't have to. Don't worry, this does not mean that the bike is unsafe to ride in any means if you are riding on roads or trails. If you're using it for what it's intended for, you're perfectly safe. Looking at the bike on the road, this is what the acceleration looks like. The power kicks in right off the throttle and it's gone. I can definitely feel the full power of the dual motors when it's on pedal assist 5. If you were to pedal when accelerating, you would definitely get a huge advantage in pickup. After the initial acceleration, the bike only takes a couple of seconds to reach 33 miles an hour, especially when you're going down a hill. Because of the lightweight frame, the agility is impressive. I can lean and swerve as much as I want, and it doesn't feel like the bike is going to fall. This is good to know that if there were to be something in the road or something unexpected happen, the bike is ready. That's about everything you should know about the performance and features on the bike, and I think it's time to ride. Alright, let's do this. Wow, this thing is fast. I have the camera on my chest here so you can see how it would look to be actually riding. And we can easily see our display even in the sun. Riding the HiKeep MAL instantly gives the sense of a bike built to blend comfort with capability. Whether you're on pavement or a trail, the 20x4-inch tires soak up every bump, making the ride feel smoother than the typical commuter bike. The 48-volt battery setup gives you enough push to cruise confidently, overtake slower traffic, or climb inclines without losing your stride. That makes commuting or weekend rides feel efficient and exciting. If you don't already have an e-bike, and you're looking for something that's got some juice, affordable but still for beginners, this is the one. And it's crazy affordable. It's only $700 and it can still go 30 miles an hour. But it's not just about the speed and the price. The 7-gear system means that when you switch off full throttle and pedal assist mode, you're not stuck. Shifting into the right gear helps you keep pedaling comfortably, especially when you're tackling a hill or easing off into a slower control zone. On a longer ride, especially when you switch to pedal assist instead of full throttle, the MAL stretches its range. I estimate that it can go as far as 60 miles on a single charge. The removable battery design means that you can charge it more conveniently and bring it inside. Since it's so convenient, you'll find yourself riding for longer and exploring areas you might skip on a regular bike. Comfort-wise, the suspension does its job well for what the bike is. You don't get the full-out mountain bike suspension feel, but the design handles many of the bumps and vibrations you'd otherwise feel. And since you may be riding at higher speeds, or faster than you would go on a regular bike, having it respond predictably is key. Reviews note that the MAL gives that sense of control rather than unpredictable jolts. The power is very linear. Braking and control are equally important when you're dealing with more momentum. The dual disc braking system gives more confidence boost. You feel you can slow or stop in a more controlled way, which changes how you ride. You're more willing to carry speed into a turn or handle a descent because you trust the brakes will do their part. I just wouldn't recommend trying to tighten it because you could ruin them in the long run. Here's what Pedal Assist 1 looks like. Okay, now into Pedal Assist 2, 3, 4, and 5. In short, if you're looking for an e-bike that lets you roll faster, go farther, and still feel comfortable while doing so, whether you're commuting, exploring, or just having a good weekend ride, the HiKeep MAL delivers a riding experience that's more capable than any entry-level models. And it competes with bikes that are double the price. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned everything about the MAL. I would highly recommend investing in one yourself. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.